What's up, folks? It's 2bricks, and I'm here today to review the March wave, I'm sorry I'm a little late on these, of Midi scale Star Wars ships. That is a new line that I'm very, very excited about, especially since it's going to be replacing the helmet line, which I was never too crazy about. Not that there was anything wrong with the builds of those, they're just never really my cup of tea. These are much, much more in my wheelhouse, for sure. And in fact, this ship is exactly to the stud the same scale as the Tantive IV that I built for my microfleet. So yeah, this is like right in my wheelhouse. And also this Falcon sitting here tilted at an angle is giving me ultimate playset scale hunk of junk vibes a little bit as well. So this is definitely something that is, yeah, like I say, right up my alley as a Star Wars fan and as a builder. So I'm really excited to review these for you guys today. I'm just going to do all three in one video because they're kind of small or Midi, and I think it's just not worth doing single videos for each one because there's not that much to say about them. But I definitely have my favorites, and I think I have some minor quibbles that I'd like to discuss as well. But overall, I'm very excited for these. So let's get into the video. All right, so we're just going to kind of go from my least most favorite to my most favorite. So starting off here with the Millennium Falcon, this is the one that I like the least overall of the three. Although I do still think that there's a lot of good about it. First thing that's really good about it is there are no stickers at all present in this model. That is something that is hugely significant for a model of this size. Trying to put a lot of round stickers and things onto these decorated elements here would be an absolute disaster. We also have the tricky surfaces here with like the cone where you would just have a really, really hard time putting stickers on. So very, very grateful to LEGO for not making us go through that ordeal. And we also have, of course, the printed elements here for the little plaque and the 25 years brick. The box art shows the brick being attached somewhere, like basically replacing this grill piece with that plaque thingy. But I don't know, it's just sort of a tricky, like, then what do I do with my grill? I'm going to lose that piece, so then I just kind of keep this free floating. I don't know, it's not quite, like, again, you know, this is a cool thing to have, but I just don't really know what to do with it once I have it. At least with this one, I can put it into a mock as a piece of, you know, black wall or something with the print faced away. But yeah, these are cool to have, and again, thankfully they're not stickers because these prints look really good and it would be a pain to apply. But yeah, I don't really get too much value out of those. But the actual ship itself, though, I think is overall good, but with a few really glaring flaws. So just before we look at that, though, we have the really nice printed 1x1 round here with the Tantive table sticker on it, which I think is really, really great. They give us two, so one is in the set, buried in there in the scene that you actually can't see, and then one is here as a spare. And then also we have a couple of useful colors here of 1x1 round plates. So we have the dark tan, dark blue, and dark brown, which I really like, and then a handful of other useful but not noteworthy pieces as well for the spares. So the instruction manual, they did try to do something a little bit fancy here with the you know, the kind of cool angle here. They try to do that for each one of these. Get your free VIP points, and then you have a little bit of information here for the Falcon, kind of nostalgic information, or, you know, kind of nostalgia, reveling in the whole 25-year anniversary deal about LEGO. But then other than that, it's a pretty standard instruction manual, and I like it. So yeah, let's move on to the actual ship itself. All right, so we'll start with the positives. I really like the stand on this. The angle that it puts the Falcon at with this slight tilt over to one side, I think is very pleasing. I heard some people say that they thought the stand was over-engineered, but I don't think that's true. It's a pretty weighty model, even though it's, you know, small, and you want to have that stability and make sure that it's not going to fall over on you, and be able to just move it around easily. And I think the way that it attaches into the bottom of the ship here, very secure, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't really have any issues with the stand. I think it's great. Another element of the design that I really like is how sort of rounded they attempted to make it, top and bottom. So all the sections are constructed individually, and they're hinged into this central round section here. And then, so they're clipped in here, and then they also clip into one another, top and bottom. So you kind of pinch each of these once you're done building them, and they just sort of click into place with the corresponding panel underneath, and it works really well. I really like that. And of course, you know, without this being playset with all opening interiors and everything, you don't have to worry about like the internal structure of this. You can literally just weld the top to the bottom. And so that's what they did, and it works really well. Another thing that I really like is the quality of the print work on all this is excellent. You have really nice, dark, crisp blacks that you want to see. You have the pretty nicely matched dark gray as well. The lines are all crisp and everything. The detailing on all these, even though these are identical, just, you know, rotating them as the instructions ask you to do gives you enough of a feeling of difference that these all feel very nice. The only thing is, for these ones, I feel like these are supposed to be sort of a recessed round pit that is cut into the Falcon, and having the overall impression be a little bit darker, I think would have helped to capture that feeling of the recessed look. But these are you know, fairly brightly colored, and they feel more like they're sticking out of the ship, which of course they are physically as a round tile that is stuck onto the top. But I think to sell the illusion for that, they could have definitely gone with something a little bit darker. And then I like the same piece here being used for the cockpit as is used for the gunner seat. That makes perfect sense, and that's exactly what I would expect. So yeah, that all works out nicely. And then around the back, they're using the same print that has been used for many years to fulfill this basic purpose here. And I think it looks fine. I would have, again, preferred maybe something slightly darker to really sell, you know, because at a distance, this is the thing that you identify on the Falcon, right? Is these 6 round circles here and these 4 at the front. But the way that they offset these works really nicely, and I like that they put the dark gray coloring underneath to give you that sort of burned engine look that the Falcon has back here, sort of the dark streaks emanating from these exhausts. I think that all looks very nice. And then the last print of note is the one for the side docking rings here. Once again, looking absolutely excellent. All the details that you would want to see for that are captured very nicely. So what are some of the things that I'm not such a fan of? Well, the dish here, I think it's very weird that they put a stopper for the dish to keep it in this position where it's kind of angled forward and slightly towards the middle. To me, my very OCD brain wants the dish to be angled fully forward, and this piece is deliberately stopping that from happening, so that kind of bugs me a little bit, although that's not the hugest deal. I do like the construction for the tower, as simple as it is. It really makes it feel like it is the proper sort of Millennium Falcon dish tower assembly with very few pieces there. But yeah, I just don't know why they decided to stop that from moving forward. And also the sort of large holes that are left in these panels, I think would have benefited from being filled with some tiles, only because these other sections don't really have that same level of cutout, and then just having this be hollow just feels like an odd choice to me a little bit there. But yeah, that's, you know, not a huge deal. I just would probably like to see this dish be able to move around, which means I'll probably just end up removing this jumper plate right here. The proportions all feel decently pretty good. I think better than the previous Midi Falcon for sure. This section here feels about right to me, although the corridor leading up to the cockpit feels a little bit thick. But overall, proportion-wise, I think this feels decently good. It doesn't really have the representation of the back end sort of flaring out a little bit more to kind of have the engine section on the Falcon does protrude a little bit further back from the design, so this back ends up feeling just a little bit stubby. And I think that the technique of using these for those large sort of steering vane type details, I would have liked to see something a little bit more accurate, like for example these the quarter round tiles that we have a bunch of in the set, maybe set on their sides, right pinched between studs, which is now a legal technique. Let me just try that and see how that feels. Yeah, so I just swapped one of those out for exactly what I just described, and I do think that that scales a lot better and actually looks a lot more accurate to the Falcon as we know it. But that's just one of the spares from the set. But of course, if you wanted to make a change like that, you could do that with your own pieces. You could even steal a couple from that are used in the set here and do that yourself. But yeah, I think overall proportions are decently good, and I like the overall level of greebling. You have some few little kind of pipey details and you know, things that are just grill tiles and little gaps, like little triangular gaps that are meant to evoke texture. I think do an overall pretty good job. But yeah, the dish bugs me, this bugs me, but then my single biggest complaint is this the way that this is all connected in here feels like a big miss, because, you know, at the end of the day, you have two fundamentally incompatible shapes that just sort of vaguely come together to create what is meant to be a sealed up space. And I understand LEGO Millennium Falcons always have gaps somewhere because it is a very tricky ship to kind of capture all of the accurate details of. But this just feels a little bit too egregious to me. And I know that there are ways that they could get around this. The pieces do exist to create something that is better looking than this. So that one I felt like was a big miss. I don't mind the, you know, you can see here the gaps between the panels. Those are fine. Like, you can always fill stuff in the middle to make a design like this feel, you know, a little bit more complete and less gappy overall. But that part doesn't bother me. But seeing right through this large section right here definitely does not work for me. The underside, I think, works surprisingly well. They actually filled out a lot more of it than you would expect, especially even going so far as to include the little you know, indication here for the box where the landing gear would come out, although there is only one of those, so I'm not sure where the other gear would be expected to come out. Not including landing gear is a bit of a bummer, because, you know, you would like to be able to display the Falcon off the stand, and you can't really do that because it sits at an awkward angle. So landing gear would have been ideal for that, but I think you could probably get some, you know, if you were to cheat a little bit as to the position of the gear, you might be able to just sort of tuck something away back here maybe to try to like sell that this surface and then these areas here are supporting the Falcon, and if you don't look too closely at it, it might be okay. But I think, you know, the shaping is very respectable. I like this little indentation that's created here, and then the little roller skate piece to fill that in looks really nice. But overall, it's serviceable, and it's not bad. You know, they even went so far as to include the little pipe that runs under here. No printed elements for these down here, which is disappointing, but also, like, you know, save money on the budget to perhaps get some extra parts that weren't available should they have included 8 of these printed pieces. So I do understand that, although, you know, that would have been nice. But yeah, just if we could eliminate that gap, I think this would be an absolute winner of a set for me. But other than that, I think, you know, pretty decent. So there's actually 3 little micro scenes that are tucked away in the Falcon here, and I'd love to be able to show them to you, but I can't because they're built so deeply into the ship that it's impossible to access them once it's finished. But I can show you them here in the instruction manual very quickly. So here we have the Dejarik table with Chewie, 3PO, R2-D2, and again the little printed element there for the Dejarik table that is hidden away, which is very nice. And then they also do include a little bit of information just in case folks don't know what this is supposed to be referencing, because it is kind of an obscure thing to figure out, right? There's just a bunch of colored studs connected together, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you might not get it. So they do explain it. And then in here we also have C-3PO interrupting Han and Leia's kiss, and then also finally Luke training, Obi-Wan training Luke to use the Force, and you know, with the training remote. So no representation for the training remote in there, but that's perfectly fine. So yeah, those are those. And you know, it's like I said, it's a shame that you can't access it after the fact to be able to show other people, maybe somebody who's visiting and is curious about your model. You can't rip it open and show them, but it's cool that they're there, and it adds a little bit of fun for you, the builder, to the overall experience when you're constructing it, to take a second and reminisce about the various scenes that have taken place on the Falcon. So this set will cost you $85 US. That is what I paid for it. And honestly, I don't feel $85 US worth of value in this set when I just look at it, when I hold it, and when I build it. It feels like it wants to be a $60 set or maybe a $70 set. It kind of feels like one of the helmets in terms of volume. When you pick it up, the weight of it and the overall size of it feels like something like your, you know, Boba Fett helmet, right? The detailing on the ship is nice. The amount of pieces, the actual, you know, price to part ratio is there. It's a 921 piece set, and so for $85, you know, you are getting more than the 10 cents per part ratio. However, the vast majority of those pieces that you're paying for are really, really tiny little things that are applied to the surface of what is a fairly bare bones, minimal structure that goes onto the inside of this. There aren't a ton of like really large plates large bricks, Technic elements, or specialist things that go into here. I mean, we have the ribbed hose back here for the engine. That's a fairly large element. We have some of these newer pieces here, the 4x round elements here. There's a lot of, and the prints also kind of drive up the cost. But still, it just doesn't feel subjectively like I'm holding $85 worth of Lego. I think what could have really pushed that over the line, and what I think these 3 Midi ships really would have benefited from, is including more of the exclusive minifigures to go along with what they're doing with R2 and the corridor set. I think that if you had a really nice exclusive, say Han Solo, or something that felt, or something even that's totally unrelated to the Falcon, that just really gave you that sort of boost of value, this would be an undeniable win and just a day one purchase. But as is, I think I would wait for this one to be discounted, because the overall build experience is decent, but it feels a little bit compromised in terms of some of the choices that were made. Like, you don't get a bottom cannon, you don't get landing gear, you have to put up with some unsightly gaps and things. So it's good for what it is, but I don't feel like it's $85 good, is my final takeaway, I guess. So if you like what you see and you have a lot of disposable income, you'll probably enjoy the build, and you'll probably enjoy having it on a shelf. If you're not, not super critical like I am of the shaping of things, and you haven't spent your time staring at, poring over images of the Millennium Falcon to build your own like I have, maybe you'll have a different takeaway. But yeah, for me, I think this one is a little bit of a miss. And next up we have the Tantive IV, and this is a really nice build. I think I enjoyed this build slightly more than the Falcon. It was actually a really interesting experience for me personally. That is probably kind of a unique experience, because a few years back I built basically this exact model without the use of custom stickers like what Lego has access to. But this is the same exact scale to the stud that I chose to have my own microscale Tantive IV be at. And so building this was sort of like building the official Lego version of my own mock, and it was very trippy. But it was fun because I got to kind of compare techniques and ideas and see the way that a Lego designer's brain functions in comparison to my own. And that was very fun. So I like the instruction manual for this. I like the front art here for the Tantive IV really coming at you. I think that they need to be a little bit more adventurous and have more fun like this with their photography for these. Don't forget your VIP points. And then once again, we have a little bit of info, some nice photography of the behind the scenes of the original Star Wars, checking out the actual model there, some of the inspiration and things of that sort. So always fun to check those out and to celebrate 25 years of this awesome partnership between Lego and Lucasfilm. So love that. But yeah, other than that, the model is pretty much a what you see is what you get situation. It's a static display model, but that said, I think it is a very nice looking display model with one exception. Can you guess what it is? Yes, we have a sticker sheet for this, and the stickers are none too pleasing, but we'll get into that in a second. But yes, this is everything that you get. No real notable pieces here for the extras, just a bunch of fairly useful generic stuff. Oh, and this, sorry, I forgot to mention, you get one of these with this as well. And I did see on the box art actually that you're supposed to take that grill tile and stick it here and then put that there. So you can do that if you want. So the model, I think, makes for a very nice display piece and is definitely hitting me in the nostalgia centers for original Star Wars, especially when I look at it just from the back here, like the classic view of it running away from the Star Destroyer. And when I look at it coming forward at me like this, yeah, it really works. I think that the proportions overall are just about right, but then I would say that, right? Because I basically made this exact model. But I think that the choice to include stickers here to capture these details, yeah, it's such a bummer, because these sections are kind of very noticeable when you look at the model from the top. And I think that the ability to make these brick built is there, and I think that it's a shame to compromise that, especially with stickers that have low production quality. And what I mean by low production quality, I mean they're printed nicely. The color matching is the issue here. This This color is meant to be dark bluish gray, and it's much more of a yellowish tinted gray. And then the white backing here doesn't match the white of Lego's plastic whatsoever. So that's very distracting, and it's a real, kind of a big bummer there. The one at the front here doesn't bug me as much, though, these are harder to put on, certainly. But the actual color matching isn't so bad here because you're not putting it directly onto a white piece. So there's this little bit of a border of separation there, but you can still tell for sure the color difference. So that's a bummer. And if Lego chose to do prints for the Falcon and stickers for this, I don't really understand the rationale there, other than maybe the Falcon had a slight bit more budget allocated for decoration. I don't really know how Lego works on that, but it would have been nice to see some consistency across these for if we're going no stickers, all prints, whatever the deal may be. But the actual brick built details that are here are nice. They have a very kind of simplified version of these very complicated fins and veins that all come in and go out at different angles. I did a much more complicated solution for mine, but this goes for the more streamlined, simple way of just using plates stacked up here, and it works perfectly fine. It's not as cool to not have the way that this all is supposed to sort of merge down and then come back out on this side with some external kind of details in here, but it works well enough, and you definitely know what you're looking at. And I have seen folks complain about the head being too small. I don't think that's the case. I think for years we've been looking at photography of the Tantive IV with this kind of in mind, with the head really up in the front here in the focus, and I think people tend to think it's a lot larger than it actually is. But this feels pretty much dead on to me, but again, biased opinion here. I do like that they represented the missing escape pod. That's great. I like all the different ways that they've represented the cannons. This technique here is simple, with just stacking up 3 of these and sticking one of them inside of this cylindrical section. That works really well. But yeah, overall, really nice looking thing. I think the way that the stand attaches, yeah, there you go. It's a bit of a shame because that always happens and you have to remove this and stick it back on there. But the other thing that kind of bugs me about the stand is that it has this sort of wide shelf that the round section here sits on top of, and it just, I don't know, that just looks odd to me, how it's sort of, it almost looks like the whole model is balanced on a little plinth, and it just doesn't feel right somehow. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, the look of that part where it joins together doesn't really work for me, but the actual stand as a whole and the model work really, really well. I think it looks really nice. So yeah, I think this is a little bit more of a win for me overall design-wise. I think consistency across all of this works really nicely. Oh, I did forget to show you on the underside here, there are more of these stickers. So unlike the Falcon, they detailed up the underside, but I guess also unlike the Falcon, these are stickers. So I don't know. I don't know how to exactly quantify that, but I do think I prefer having the detailing consistently applied at top and bottom. And just like with the Falcon, we have the little hidden scene buried deep inside the central section of this ship here. So it's, I believe it's right under here. You build up the little scene here where Princess Leia is handing off the plans to R2 and C-3PO is looking on nervously. And yeah, that all works fairly well as a little fun Easter egg, but again, it'd be nice if you could actually see it once you're done, a little opening hatch somewhere or a little removable piece that you could just see it in there. But yeah, you can't have everything. It is nice though when you're building it to have the experience of knowing that there's a little something in there, and a little bit of information that they give you about what the scene is supposed to be is appreciated. So this set is $80 for 654 pieces. And why is that? I couldn't tell you. I think that this set is kind of, well, I mean, there's really no other way to put it. This set is insanely overpriced for the amount of stuff that you're getting, particularly considering that, again, like the Falcon, a lot of these are small detail and extraneous pieces that you're adding on. I mean, you get like 30 of these, right? And these are not expensive parts to produce for Lego, and we're getting stickers for this, not prints. I mean, we do have printed elements, but overall, the decorations for the whole ship are stickers. And we're not getting a minifigure for this. So I think if you had thrown in, say, a really nice exclusive Bail Organa in his Revenge of the Sith outfit, right, with the full cape and everything, and you could kind of put that as an accompaniment with the Tantive IV hallway set, and we could sort of have those side by side, sort of interacting a little bit together with the minifigure that goes with this and that, you know, something like that to add that incentive for to purchase this, because otherwise I just don't really see $80 worth of value here. Once again, this feels like it wants to be more in the $60 range. If this was 60 and the Falcon was 70, I would say, you know, right on the money. And even the price to part ratio does not bear that out either. So I'm really not sure what happened with the pricing on this one, other than I guess the fact that the assumption is that if you want to buy one of them, you'll want to get all three to have the complete collection, and maybe you're willing to pay extra for this. So as a build experience, this was fun, but I don't think it was fun enough to justify the extra cost that seems to be tacked on for no real reason. So I would again wait for this one to be on sale if you can. Maybe you know, if you could get it 20% off, you might be right in the ballpark of a decent value for this set. So I do like it, but I think that I really don't understand the inconsistency with Lego, with a whole wave of similar sets having different rules seemingly applying to them. I don't really get that. All right, and saving the absolute peak for last, this is the creme de la creme of the wave, for sure, in my opinion. This is the Invisible Hand. The extra pieces for this include one very, very awesome rounded tile here, the half round tile in trans clear, and then you get a second one of those in the set. That is an absolutely awesome piece that I want a bunch more of. And I also really like the trans green half round tile here, so you can do some cool stuff with that, with weirdly colored headlights or something like that for a car build. But the actual ship itself is fantastic. We'll obviously get into that in a second, but I do like how, once again here, just like the Tantive IV instruction manual, it's coming at you. It's very dynamic. Yeah, please Lego, just don't just slap a generic sort of 3D render image on the front of this that has no life to it. This is more fun, you know, stuff like this where it's really like dynamic. Yeah, we like to see that. So good stuff on there. Oh, and of course, like with the get your VIP points. Like with the other sets, here we have some information, some nostalgia, and a little bit of discussion of sort of, you know, the thought process that goes into building these ships. And we're celebrating 25 years of Lego Star Wars. So crazy. So yeah, there you go. There's that. And let's get in and look at the ship itself, because that is really the main event here. So like with the Tantive, we have a sticker sheet here, although it's much less pervasive. So the stickers go here and here. And they're a lot more of what I would consider to be essential elements. You know, we have the striping that would be impossible to capture at this scale, and then the Separatist logo that would likewise be impossible to capture with brick-built details at this scale. So definitely, you know, that's understandable and called for sure, and a very good use of stickers in my opinion. Even though the color matching on this is still terrible, this this gray here looks like dark gray in comparison to the light colored plastic around it. But at least the actual kind of caution stripe looks pretty good, although the dark blue on this looks closer to black. Although, wait, is that black? It's actually kind of hard to tell, but I think it's supposed to be dark blue. But the CIS logo, I think, looks fine. What I would have thought would be, you know, preferable in this scenario is to do clear backed stickers, so that you just get the logo, and then you don't have to worry about matching the color of the plastic. But I know a lot of people hate the clear stickers because they're harder to attach without getting bubbles underneath. So I guess sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But yeah, just look at this thing. It looks absolutely fantastic. So let's dive in and take a look at the specifics on this, because it is my favorite of the bunch by far. All right, so here is the Invisible Hand. The Invisible Hand. You're telling me George Lucas is not an anti-capitalist? Invisible Hand of the market? Come on. Okay. Anyway, people tend to say that the prequels for some reason are not political, which always baffles me. Anyway, moving on. The Invisible Hand here looks absolutely amazing. The engines look great here. The little roller skate pieces that are used for like bridge, or this is actually technically the bridge here, but you know, kind of these, I don't know, separate little tower areas here look great. The detailing for all of the little spires and things, and then the use of this roller skate at the front here, absolutely fantastic. I like the way that they really made sure to capture even the bulbous section down here, a very kind of studless and clean look, the way that they got all that to work. This is a genius way to achieve this design element here. And yeah, overall, it all just works. Even the fact that you can actually see through the hangers like you would be able to in real life, and you can even see in there Obi-Wan and Anakin's fighters and the MTT that are built away. So the hidden scene, you can actually see it in this one due to the fact that the hanger is a trans-clear element and you can look through it. So that's great. This works really well. So, you know, we're still flying half a ship, jokes Obi-Wan as they all hurtle down to the planet to their doom. That's really fun, and the fact that they decided to actually include that is great. You know, it would have felt like we would have felt cheated, right, if we didn't have the ability to snap this off. So yeah, that's really awesome. I like the way that they've balanced the trans-clear or trans-yellow elements in here for the different windows and lighted sections. It makes it feel very dense with detail, even though it's a very small model indeed. And yeah, the color scheme is nice and consistent throughout. It's very smooth. This is just perfect. I mean, yeah, I have absolutely no complaints on the design of this. I think it looks great. Even the stand works really, really well. The way that they have the little kind of shelf, the same as they did with the Tantive IV one, but it just studs in so you don't have any kind of visible, awkward transition from the stand into the actual model. It just works perfect. And this is the close-up of the hidden scene that I was describing. So the MTT, which is the large droid transport here with all the droids racked up inside of it. And then they even went so far as to bury the yellow and red studs down, you know, so that only the tip of the stud sticks out when you look through the hangar bay. That just helps to sell the scale of those tiny ships even better. I mean, they really, really went and thought of everything for this, you know, and it just works. And what's even crazier about this set is that it's $50 for 557 pieces, which means that the price to part ratio is dead on. The actual value in terms of what I'm holding in my hand for $50 feels dead on as far as, you know, Lego, which is already an expensive hobby. But this feels reasonable, and it's the only iteration of the invisible hand that we've ever gotten from Lego. So it's literally a win on every single front. I just don't understand how this one can be so good and priced so fairly, and yet the others in the line are lagging behind, and they're all released at the same time to the same crowd who's expected to buy them. It's just baffling. But I think this is a day one purchase. If you're a prequels fan, if you're a Clone Wars fan, if you like the, if you want to see more CIS represented, you know, droid army faction stuff from Lego, then obviously you want to support this set above the other two, which are things that we've gotten from Lego many, many, many times over, you know, in various scales. I just think that there's absolutely no reason not to get this set if you're a Lego Star Wars fan. It's a must-buy for sure. And the fact that it is the smallest of the bunch means that it will fit very neatly onto any small shelf or desk. It really feels like this is intended to sit on someone's desk at work and just be, you know, a really nerdy reference that a lot of folks probably wouldn't even know what they were looking at unless they were Star Wars fans, and that's a good way to suss out who's cool at your workplace. So yeah, I absolutely love this thing. You know, usually I don't keep mocks together for very long, but I think I'm gonna keep this one together for quite some time. All right, so here they are, the Midi scale boys. This was a really fun collection to look at and consider and review. It is funny to me how much I love the overall wave as a concept and as a whole. But also the only one that I truly love is the invisible hand, and the other two I think are just, you know, pretty good. But the love that I have for the invisible hand definitely kind of spreads out to the whole concept of the Midi scale ships that I have thought for a long time Lego should definitely do more of. We would like to see, I think as Lego Star Wars fans, we'd like to see more of the sort of obscure starships, things that maybe aren't so recognizable on a box to the general public, but that we Star Wars fans absolutely adore. And I would even love to see Midi scale things like starfighters, you know, or Midi scale vehicles like a sandcrawler would be awesome, just to really make the most of this format and experiment with different things that Lego just doesn't normally produce that often. I would love to see a Midi scale Jabba sail barge with a tiny little brick-built Jabba on the top deck there. That'd be amazing. You know, there's a ton of potential for this. I think way more than buildable props like lightsaber hilts or helmets or things like that could ever really yield. I think this is the way to go, and I think Lego should continue going. So the only thing is I do want to see some more consistency across the board with pricing and with, like I said before, what gets a print, what gets a sticker. you know, what is the kind of, like, what are the policies here, and kind of keep those consistent in future. Because yeah, if everything in the line could be as good as the Invisible Hand, then it would be an absolute smashing success for Lego, and keep the company afloat for another 25 years. So so obviously I'm getting a little hyperbolic in my excitement there, but this is a step in the right direction for me. So it's kind of funny with how scaled down Lego sets, like play sets, have been getting recently in an effort to save money. They almost feel MIDI scale on their own already. So it's sort of, the lines are getting blurred, and the gaps are getting smaller between the different types of scale that Lego work at. So it's definitely interesting to see. I could also see like these being like microfighters. Like if somebody could convert these to sit a minifigure, I think that'd be a fun thing to see as well. So yeah, I think this is definitely a versatile line of products for Lego, and I really hope that we get to see a bunch more in the near future. The only thing that's a little bit of a bummer is I would have loved to see figures that go along with these. I mean, we have microfighters that each come with a figure. We had the Planet series that each came with a figure, but these for some reason don't warrant one. That's one area that it feels like kind of obvious to point out that we could get some extra value for, but I do think that a collectible minifigure of some sort would definitely go a long way to making these be a must-buy for all Lego Star Wars fans, not just the hardcore ship lovers like myself. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on the wave. This has definitely been a fun March release wave for me. It was my birthday in March, so I definitely enjoyed getting all of these, having an excuse to treat myself and build all these up and to share my thoughts with you guys. If you like what you see here, please do like the video. Please do subscribe if you want to see more. I have not just obviously set reviews, there are tons of mocks and other crazy projects that I work on all the time coming your way, so you don't want to miss out on that. And until the next video, thank you guys so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.